I'm a black man trying not to get caught. I'm just trying to solve the puzzle like a jigsaw. You know it's a big world, so easy to get lost. I'm just trying to solve the puzzle like a jigsaw.
And we back, and we back, and we back, and we back. Shout out to Chance Rapper for that. Well, wait a minute. I'm a little irritated with my bro Chance. We'll talk about that later in the podcast. This has been a doozy of a week, and I just want to know how y'all doing out there. Y'all okay? Y'all making it? I hope that you're making it. I hope that you're doing well. We'll get into why this has been a crazy week, but for now, welcome to the Jigsaw. Y'all know how we do it. This is the podcast where we get together and we try our best to try to figure out and to navigate the craziest puzzle piece ever invented, and that is the jigsaw of life. We talk about the perils, the praises, the productivity, and the pomp and circumstance of being a real life Black millennial in America. I am doing okay. I am overwhelmed with information and jokes and memes and gifts. And I think you know why. Jada Pinkett Smith is entangled. And we're not going to talk about it in the Billboard. One, because there were so many other things that I think were so much more important and have much more depth than that. We all know that Will and Jada have had a very interesting situation. Over the years, people have ascribed them as goals. They have never been really goals for me, but you know, their house, their business, their marriage, everything is on them. I don't have much to say other than the word entangled has been used up and dried up very quickly since that Red Table Talk, and I will not it will not be too soon if I never hear the word entangled again. That's what I wanted to say. There it is. Nick Cannon got fired, unfortunately, for speaking what he thought was the truth concerning his views on white people and the history of how they've mistreated African Americans and Black folks in this country. But that's a whole nother discussion for another day. We're not going to dive deep into that either. Diddy did offer him the opportunity to come to Revolt TV because Revolt is owned by Diddy and it's Black owned. Now, don't have any problems with that. Actually like that gesture. However, Diddy run Mace his records, his masters, his money. How about you do that first before you start offering any other reprieve to anyone else? And lastly, in this intro kind of segment of the Billboard, kind of pseudo segment, Terry Crews will not shut up. And I just really wish that he would. He keeps talking. Now he's talking about defunding Pornhub, which I do have some thoughts about that. But it's like, bro, you probably do not have the intellectual capacity to back up that argument. Furthermore, why are you even bringing this up? There are so many other things right now that we need to be focused on, but I'm not going to get into the stupidity that is Terry Crews. So without further ado, we have a pretty interesting episode ahead of us. I think it's going to be a good one. Our living room conversation is going to be super dope. I have a guest who's going to talk to us about the power of music. If you have not caught it by the title, then you kind of know that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm super excited about that. But let's go ahead and get into it because like I said, this week has been crazy if you've been paying attention at all. So we got some stuff we want to talk about in the Billboard. But before we get there, let's get into the Bless Up Report. Let's do it.
Yeah. You see?
This week on the Bless Up Report, we want to shout out Dr. Michael Drake. The University of California named Dr. Drake as their first Black president of the university system. This is the first time that a Black person has been named president in the 150th year of the university. He is a University of California trained physician, and he was the previous chancellor of the University of California at Irvine. And he also was the previous president of the Ohio State University from 2014 to 2020. He was in UC Irvine from 2005 to 2014 and served at Ohio State from 14 to 2020. While he was at Ohio State, he doubled the African American enrollment and increased retention and graduation rates among all of their students. As the new president, Drake says that he is excited and ready to go. He's a firm believer in diversity and inclusion, and he believes that it takes all of us to make a difference. So we are super excited about this Black man leading the force and the tribe that is the University of California. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited how he brings some of that nature of doubling the enrollment of African American students, how he brings that to the University of California, and not just increasing the enrollment, but how he kind of changes the culture and makes that a space, a safer space for students of color, particularly Black men and women who decide to attend that college. We are expecting nothing but great things from you, brother. We are so excited about what you're going to do. Bless up. You have all of our support. One more addition to the Bless Up report this week. We found out that today, or maybe it was yesterday, because this recording is going to come out maybe a day later. But Asheville, North Carolina, the council there approves a reparations bill or law for all the Black residents in a unanimous vote. It was 7-0. But however, everybody's excited. I think let me start by saying I think this is absolutely dope. I do. I think it is dope. But everyone's excited because when we hear reparations, we automatically think of checks and money and things like that. Well, in this case, there will not be checks granted to the African American families and individuals who live within Asheville, North Carolina. However, there will be direct funding dedicated to Black programming within the city, and there will be direct investment in areas that have been previously underrepresented and underserved. I think that is an amazing first step, especially when we've been having more robust conversations around reparations, specifically in this election cycle. A lot of people do not know what they would do. They're talking about creating task force and doing years and years of research where maybe my generation may not ever see reparations. Who knows how long their research and their analysis will last. However, directly putting it into Black communities, right? That are sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of times facing gentrification in a way that makes those communities no longer Black, but investing in them in such a way where those Black families are not displaced, where we are giving interest-free and forgivable loans and grants to small Black businesses to be able to open up in Black communities. I saw something on a social media post earlier this week that suggested that HBCUs should have Black businesses and Black-owned restaurants. So even things like that, like investing into Black communities that bring and recycle Black dollars within that community. So hopefully they're able to diminish all of the red tape and provide adequate access to this level of program. And I think this is a great first step. I also believe that Black families should receive checks, reparations in forms of checks and money. So let's not get it twisted. But I do believe this is a great first step. I'm excited to see how it plays out. And I'm even more excited to see how this could have a residual effect on other cities and other areas. Asheville is a rather small but kind of well-known city in North Carolina, if you know anything about like the tourist kind of side of it all. So it's not like this is really small hick town. However, it's not like in Atlanta or Nashville or Orlando or DC or anything like that. However, I do think because it's making national news and this has been a national conversation, that this will kind of spark some type of domino effect in other places. And I'm very interested to see. But in the meantime, bless up to all of y'all council members that voted on this. You definitely have our support, and we're super excited to see where this goes next. All right, y'all. Let's get into the Billboard. This week's episode of the Billboard. Here we are. Let's start with something great. Beyonce, our queen. She teams up with the NAACP to give grants to Black businesses impacted by Miss Rona. The grants will be in the form of $10,000. Well, they'll be up to $10,000, and they'll be giving to Black businesses in the cities of Houston, Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, and Minneapolis. I think this is dope. I did not find a lot of information about why she chose or why the NAACP chose those specific cities. I do know Houston and Atlanta has a very high concentration of Black individuals and Black business owners, so that could definitely have something to do with it. You know, Beyonce is from Houston, so there's no surprise there. But LA, New York are also really big cities and metropolises that has an influx of business owners and entrepreneurs. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. And then Minneapolis, of course, that's what sparked this most recent surge of activism and advocacy. So shout out to that. No need to go into some of those details, but I'm super excited that Black businesses will have the opportunity to get funds necessary to help them jump back, jump start, whatever the verb is, right? To get back into regular business operation, or at least get close to regular business operation. So shout out to you. Applications will close on July 18th. So if you are a listener of the podcast and you are in one of those cities, please make sure you are applying by July 18th, because they will select and announce winners of those grants on July 31st. Speaking of Black excellence, kind of tying into the Blessing Report a little bit, I want to make sure I gave y'all some good stuff, some really good, pure and positive stuff. Lemoyne-on College, you probably never, some of you may not have heard of. It is a small liberal arts institution, HBCU, in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the smaller ones, but it has received their largest donation in its 158-year history. They received a $40 million donation from the Community Foundation of Memphis. This is so major because Lemoyne, again, is a very small school. They're not big. So, that means that they don't get some of the press like a Morehouse or Spelman or Clark Atlanta or Howard, FAMU, North Carolina A&T, some of the ones that you can just spit off, Fisk, Xavier, stuff like that, right? They don't get the kind of the press and the recognition that other big HBCUs get. And something we can have another conversation about that. However, this right here, this grant has done something absolutely amazing. It is going to help them provide scholarships to their students. I am absolutely sure they're going to invest in some infrastructure. They're probably going to invest in some things academically, maybe into some of their programming, be it sports or community centers or student centers and things like that. I'm just super excited because Lemoyne is really important to the people of Memphis. Shout out to Memphis. Y'all know I'm from Memphis. It's super important to that community, the Soulsville community in which it sits in. So I'm super excited about this donation. I am not a graduate of Lemoyne, but I am a graduate of an HBCU. So I do know the importance of having these types of dollars, especially when you do not have the robust endowments of not just a PWI or a state school, but just other HBCUs who seem to be thriving, and getting some of the donations on a more consistent basis. So I am super glad that this foundation that's in the city that the school sits in as well decided to invest in them in such a way. Great move. Excited to see how you're going to make those dollars turn into something tangible and great for the community and the students that will come. All right. Viola Davis was on the cover of Vanity Fair as she absolutely destroyed it. I mean, sis was beautiful. I mean, absolutely. It was a beautiful cover. Just beautiful. And she chose a Black photographer, and choosing this Black photographer made him the first Black photographer to ever shoot for the cover of Vanity Fair. I think that was absolutely amazing. And this is the kind of stuff that we can do as a community to support each other, making sure that we're reaching across the aisle, making sure that we're bringing somebody with us, making sure, right? You know what I'm saying? That when we have the opportunity to be in these type of rooms, if we know someone, that we say their name, that we honor their work, that we honor what they're doing and how they're doing it. Viola Davis definitely did that. She has always been one to really stand out in her Blackness and to be proud of it. I think I read somewhere where she has talked about her life, living her life as a protest, and how even when she went to the Oscars in 2012, the fact that she decided not to wear a wig was just her being a protest. And I think I posted it on my Instagram the other day. It was from a Black therapy page that suggested that being your most authentic self is a form of protest. And that is so real. And it resonated with me so much because oftentimes, especially those of us who work in corporate America, have this unnecessary pressure to assimilate, or we have to feel like we have to hide certain things about us and who we are because they are not the Blackest, or they are Black, right? Or they're not the most acceptable. Let me say it that way. So we try to not buy into stereotypes and not to do whatever, when it's just simple things that we like, or it's just simple things about us and our culture. I know for me, when I was at lunch, I would politely bust out my Louisiana hot sauce. Why? Because I wanted it on whatever I was eating, and grew to a place to where that did not matter. I know that's something really small and minuscule, but it does speak to a larger issue about Black people not all the times resting in their authenticity because they don't know how they will or will not be accepted. And Viola Davis has been one of those individuals who has always been authentic in who she is and how she has presented. And she has openly acknowledged that it is a form of protest. And just her being able to even display that on that very white magazine cover, right? And then bring somebody black along to capture the essence of her beauty and who she is to that cover was absolutely amazing. So shout out to you, Queen, for killing the cover and for consistently representing Black America and Black folk in the awesome way that you do it. Okay. So last thing on the billboard this week is somebody shot Meg the Stallion. Now, everybody is suspecting that it was Tory Lanez. Now, before we get into that, Tory Lanez was arrested. And police report came out. This brother is 5'2", 120 something pounds. Like, and he had on clothes. So that is a small dude. Let's just go there. But anyway, beyond that, they were hanging out, Meg, Tory, and her friend Kelsey. And they were in this SUV. Allegedly, there was some type of altercation that went on. And then Meg got shot in the foot. Police got there. There was a video. They hit the shade room today that showed a different angle. Meg stepping out of the truck. She was already kind of limping. She didn't have on shoes. Tory was already in police custody, or they already had arrested him or whatever at that moment. So it's just really unclear about what's happened. Meg did release an iOS press release, a statement on her Instagram that said that the stories that have been reported were not true and they were not accurate. So she kind of dismantled some of it, but she did not right out say who shot her, how it happened, what was going on. Kelsey also said that she did not do it, but she was there. She hasn't said anything either. So I don't know if it's because it's an ongoing investigation that they really can't speak. But we do know is that Meg was hospitalized. She says that she is recovering and that she's hoping to be better so she can bring us music and twerk videos and the titanium knees that we know her to have. I really hope that it was not anything domestic. And, I'm not like a Tory Lanez stan, but I appreciate what he brings to music, right? For what he does for culture, whatever it is that he does, his singing rap type thing. His music is cool, whatever. I really hope that this was not like domestic violence, that he didn't pop off and say something stupid and responded with gunshots. Like, I really pray that that's not the case. I hope that there is a level of clarity that comes out of this. I hope that whatever level of justice that needs to happen, go ahead and happens, so that all parties involved can go on with their lives, do what they're needing to do, and then we can go on living safely. Like, Rona is already taking us out. We do not need friends and silly, frivolous altercations to take us out. All right? So, breathe in and breathe out, because that was a lot. That was a lot, but that's our Billboard report for this week. I'm excited, like I said, to get into this conversation. Hey, Mr. DJ, coming up the party. All right. I guess I'm ready. So we can. Oh, I lost the key. Break it down. Oh, everybody, move your body. Let's do it. Here is something that's gonna make you move and groove. Hey DJ, you're playing this song all night, on and on and on. Yeah, that was unnecessary, but it was necessary. Because today's episode is all about music. And when I think about music, I don't always think about that song, but I just think about the power of music and the ability to request songs. It just popped in my mind. Anyway, let's get ready. You know how we do. Let's get ready to have this conversation, our living room conversation. Grab your snack, grab your favorite drink. Let's head on to the living room, take a seat on the couch, and let's do it, y'all. It's about to All right, what's going on, y'all? And welcome to another segment of the living room. I am super, super excited. I got somebody mad special sitting on the virtual couch with me. My sister is here, Miss Candy West. Introduce yourself. Hey. Tell the people who you are.
Hey, hey, y'all. I'm so excited to be a part of the podcast tonight. And my name is Candy West, hailing from Dallas, Texas, by way of Huntsville, Alabama.
And she was kind of modest and humble with that. She's a whole pastor, a music extraordinaire, a purveyor of excitement and anointing. I'm super hyped right now.
You did a
I
much
mean,
better job than I would have done anyway. So you got it.
so today's conversation is going to be centered around music and the
Okay.
power of it and the love of it and one my party trick is what I like to tell people is that I was a former minister of music in
Oh, I love
my
that.
yeah, don't love it too much. Because every
Oh,
time I say it, people try to pull it back out. I'd be like, nope,
Be like,
nope, nope,
you want to
nope.
lead worship for us?
Like, nope, nope, that's retired. But no, I still have a deep, deep, deep love for music. Even got a tattooed on my body. But I just want to talk about it because I think,
Yeah.
especially in these times, like music is one of those forces that binds us together across racial lines, across backgrounds. So before we dive deep into it, like when did you develop a love for music?
I think I developed my love for music right around like a discoverable love, like knowing that I had
Hmm.
a love for it right around like my teenage years. I've been singing since the age of 3. But I didn't really recognize the power of my voice until I was maybe about 13. And
Okay.
I grew up Church of God in Christ, so I was asked to sing. If you know Evangelist Joyce Rogers, she was over the
Yep.
youth department in Dallas and the youth ministry. And so anytime we would do convocation, she would always rally us together. And she asked me to do the sermonic solo for one of the Wednesday nights for the Wednesday night service. And so that
Okay.
was huge, right? So I discovered at that moment, like, wait a minute, I think I might got something. I might have something a little special. And then from there, it just grew. And my mom had always cultivated my gift and really poured into me. She was, I call her my first vocal coach and just the
Hmm.
purveyor of who the Candy West sound and what people know now. So I think, like I said, it would have developed around my teenage years.
So was mama a musician? She sings too?
My mama is a singer. She's a singer, singer,
Okay.
singer. Like she's like, we grew up with. She was like Maddie Mouse Jr. Okay, because so again,
Hmm.
grew up Kojic, so she came from that old school, open your mouth and sing type of thing. We had to
Right.
learn how to do all the harmony parts, and but my mom is the kind that she got the kind of the voice that will raise the dead out of a casket, and just an anointing, just an or special oil and anointing that she's always had. So yeah, she's a singer.
I love that. And see, I grew up Kojic too. And there's something about our music and our
Man,
sound.
what? I'm telling there is nothing, no shade to no other denomination. And thank God we're in a more progressive, free place now. But I thank God for that training and being
Listen.
raised um in that congregation because for me, just even growing up in my grandfather's church, how they prayed, how they
Mhm.
interceded, how salvation was a huge thing for us and the importance of salvation. All those things, and again, that sound, there's nothing like it. I mean, you
I
got the
agree.
Clark sisters. I mean, look at us. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right. And they'll take one line and drive that thing for 20 minutes.
let me they'll nail it in the ground forevermore.
And it is a whole song,
A whole song. Yes,
It is a
sir.
whole song. So,
Mhm.
okay. So what overall does music represent? You talked about when you discovered the love of it, but what does like music holistically represent for you in your life?
I think music for me holistically, it is the soundtrack of my life. Music,
Okay.
there's so many different forms and styles of music that fit areas of my life. I have music that I when I need my faith to be boosted, there's music for that. When I need to be inspired and get ready to work out, there's music for that. Music is the one thing that has the most, I believe, has the most influence over people globally all around the world. No matter where you go, music has an imprint somewhere. So for me, like I said, it just fits so many different areas of my life. It's like the soundtrack of my existence.
Hmm. So, what
Yeah.
does that creative process look like when you're writing a song, recording a song, or just you want to listen to something special? Like, what does that look like for you?
You know what? It really depends. Songs come to me. I could be driving down the street and I'll get inspiration for a song or hear a melody. So I have like thousands of voice notes on my phone. And but if I'm looking to create something specifically, like a single or working on a song for a project, I usually try to get myself in a very quiet, focused place where I can really focus and light the candle, make sure that my energy and my mindset is clear and good so that I can be creative. I have to turn everything else off and down so that I can really focus on tapping into my creativity. So again, for me, it really depends on what I'm writing for. I can write a service in the middle of I could write a song in the middle of service, or I could write a song at home and pick one of the voice notes. It just really depends on what the project is and what it's requiring of me.
Got you. So, were you anything like Twinkie Clark, where you put that Bible right there on in front of you and just pull scripture out?
There are times that I legit, if there's something, especially if it's a gospel song or a song that I really want to pull context of scripture for that particular song, I'll open the word and be like, Lord, help me to partner your word with what this song needs to mean. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and see, like I'm nobody's songwriter, but when it comes to writing speeches or sermons or anything, like I think I heard Jonathan McReynolds say this: that shower is undefeated. You be in there by
What?
yourself, and and it's something, I don't know if it's a combination of the steam and the acoustics. Like my wife has literally had to check on me, like, "Babe, are you preaching a full sermon?" I'm like, "Don't worry about what's happening in here.
What's going
God is
on in
speaking.
here? Because I got to stop
God
the
is
work to make
speaking."
sure it work
Right.
on me first.
Listen, right. I got to minister to me. You know what I'm saying? So, so have you ever found yourself in that space? It could be one of the most awkward moments where you found yourself ministering to you something that's intended for the public.
All the time. All the time. I think that's again is like the trial period. Like, how does this feel
Hmm.
to me? I never release anything that I don't feel for myself. If I can't
Yeah.
stand behind the authenticity of a message, then I don't release the message, no matter what that is. If it's a song, if it's a word, I don't release it if I don't feel like it's authentic to who I am.
Got you. So, in what ways has like music inspired or challenged you to maybe love better, have a different perspective on something, or even pursue your dreams? Like, has music challenged you to be better?
You know what the crazy thing is, I'm a almost a 25-year veteran in the music industry, and I've had a very in the past 25 years, I would say I've had a love-hate relationship with music. I
Okay.
think a lot of that, and that's just me being honest with some of my experiences that I've had, some being good, some being not so good, broken promises, wanting to sing, not wanting to sing, feeling like you have a place for your voice, feeling like your voice is not needed in the marketplace. And I've had such a love hate relationship with music, and I think one of the things that keeps me coming back to it is God reminding me of what he put inside of me, and that what he
Hmm.
gave me is something that he didn't give anybody else. And there's an audience for my voice. There's an audience that wants to hear what I penned. There's an audience for that. And so the inspiration that keeps me in love with music or keeps me coming back to it is the fact that I know that there is something in me that I'm supposed to release, because there's somebody that needs the creative gift as it relates to music to live or be inspired or encouraged or to feel hope. So I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind.
That's what's up. And I recently discovered that you are on a ton of some of my favorite albums from what I consider the goat of music, Mr. Kirk Franklin. I love
Oh,
everything that brother drops.
absolutely.
Everything he drops. So like just real quick, how was that being with Kirk?
You know what? I love Kirk to this day because he is such a hard worker. He's
Mhm.
so passionate and he believes in excellence. If I can say I've taken anything from him, it will be his work ethic. Like when he works on a project, he ensures that the sound, like sonically, it feels good, heart
Mhm.
wise, like spiritually, it feels good, and that it's always, and his music is always like on the high level of what you would hear on secular radio. You don't hear a Kirk Franklin song and be like, "Oh, he did that mix ain't good." You have never been able to say
Never.
you heard a Kirk Franklin song that was not mixed well, and you never will. You'll never hear a Kirk Franklin song and hear and say the production is good on that song. You'll never be able to say that. If you do, you're a hater, and I'm gonna call you
Come
out.
on. Call them out.
I'm gonna call you out. So I've always been inspired by his excellence and his desire to give the best and make sure that he's communicating the message of God in a very practical way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because his music is so it's so timeless. And there are
Hmm.
songs from the first album with the family that I can just go back to. And we were just talking about Silver and Gold. Like right now in this time, like I ain't got nothing else. I'm at home all day. A
Hmm.
lot of
Yeah.
folks been laid off. I just want some little more Jesus,
Yeah,
to
man.
quote Erica Campbell and then talk about Kirk Franklin. Uh, but like it's so timeless. And one thing I've noticed about him and Will Move is like seems like he has a formula. Like his like all of his hits just like follow this beautiful formula of like
Hmm.
inspiration. It is super super timeless. And like man, I can go all on and on about Kirk,
No, he's
on and
the
on
GOAT.
about
He's the GOAT. I
Kirk.
would say out of all the artists that I've worked with, he's the greatest of all times. He really is the
Hmm.
GOAT. It's so funny because Sunday I was cooking in the kitchen and I told Siri to put on Kirk Franklin playlist. And I was like, just listen to all these songs. I was like, wow, like the man got a catalog,
A,
okay?
a whole catalog.
A whole catalog, songs for days. So he's amazing.
Bet. So speaking of like that timeless piece of Kirk Franklin, how he kind of like merges the secular with the sacred and all, like in what ways do you think music unites or even divides us?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think that music it unites us because again music is one of the things that knits us all together. The thing that divides us are the styles and genres. You have people that are all about Nuck If You Buck, and then there are people that love Anthony Brown and group therapy, and so I
Hmm.
think just being okay with what your zhuzh is, or the thing that draws you to music, or the thing that draws you to a style of music. I think the thing that separates us or divides us is preference.
Yeah.
But all of us are impacted by music. There is some kind of song, some style of music that gets to you, that thing that just that's a driving force for you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it earlier, talking about, the right music at the right time, because of
Hmm.
course Saturday morning is Marvin Gaye's Earth, Wind and Fire when we
Yep.
cleaning up the house. When I'm working out, God bless the saints, but they not getting me through them push-ups and lifting them heavy weights. It's more of a
Absolutely
knuck if you
not.
buck.
See what I'm
It's
saying?
you
See?
know what I'm saying? It's a straight up trap. And then there are like I can pinpoint specific artists and specific songs when I'm going through, when I'm real happy, when I want to deal
Hmm.
with my kids, like, and it's
Absolutely.
just a playlist of, like you said, a soundtrack to life. I think
A
there's a
soundtrack
soundtrack
to life?
to every
Absolutely.
moment. And I
Absolutely.
and I think sometimes, especially us as Christians, we get so caught up in what we believe is to be just the sacred that we miss the humanity of music and
Mhm.
how we
I
can,
love that.
really, fuel the culture
Mhm.
and like really bring memorable moments to moments, right? Because when I'm having a date night with my wife, Shirley Caesar ain't it. I'm
Ain't and Fred haven't that either. And
not
Kirk
either.
Franklin ain't either.
And
If
Kurt
y'all
Franklin
wanna
either.
chill and y'all wanna take a drive, yeah, but if y'all trying to chill and do the merry thing, y'all ain't trying to be on that.
And God bless Bishop Jakes, but the Sacred Love Song CD ain't it? Not for me.
No,
Not
I'm
for
sorry.
me.
I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna be able to do it.
Not for me.
Love
So
a
I just
bishop, but sacred love songs ain't gonna do it
it
for
it ain't gonna get it because I don't want to hear him come in. I don't
me.
want that one ain't going
No,
when he come in like that, I'll be like, nope, we gotta find something else to do.
man. Mhm.
so
Alexa.
right. So we're in like some crazy times. 2020 decided to come in and be everything Y2K thought she was going to be.
Let me tell
And
you, what's wrong with 2020? If she got an attitude.
a whole attitude. And she done brought Rona, she done brought all kind of unrest and everything
Mhm.
our way. But considering all of this foolishness that we're facing, how can artists use the art of music as a healing mechanism?
Ooh, you know what? I One of the things that I believe, because music can be healing,
Hmm.
and one way that artists can use music as a healing mechanism is find the message that ministers to the place that you need the most healing, where you need the healing balm the most. Some
Yeah.
people, it may be music that ignites their creativity. For somebody, it may be music that gives them hope or gives them courage. But I believe that it can be applied to whatever area that needs that healing balm the most, and finding that artist or that genre or that style of music that really reaches you in that place where you need it,
Hmm.
you know.
So should every artist feel pressured to do that?
Oh, absolutely not. I think there is a pressure that comes along with that, but
Hmm.
you don't have to succumb to the pressure. You could choose, and because at the end of the day, it's about what you feel called to do. It's about what you feel called, the message that you feel called to convey. I write love songs. I write all kinds of songs, right? But
Hmm.
I don't necessarily feel the call to be Fantasia. You know what I mean? I can
Right.
write songs for Fantasia, but I don't necessarily feel called to her audience. And so I think that you, as an artist, you just have to be true to who you feel like you are to reach, who you feel like your audience is, who you feel like your message reaches the most. And
Hmm.
stay true to that. And you don't have to succumb to the pressure of, because you're focused in one style or genre of music. You don't have to feel the pressure of, oh, but maybe I should try this. If you don't really feel called to that, do what's authentic to you, because that's what is going to reach people. That's what people are going to connect with. People connect with authenticity. They can always tell when something is synthetic, and they can tell when something is authentic. They can tell
That's
the
so
difference.
good. And I think that one statement alone relieves not only just musical artists, but people in general from the pressure of having to respond specifically to what's going on today. Like everybody wants to do a Black Lives Matter something or this kind of record or artistry or, creative something. And I think I was talking to a friend about it. Like sometimes if you don't have anything to say or contribute, it's best. And I think that's a easy way to be responsible with your platform because so many
Mhm.
people have started talking and doing stuff, and we didn't ask you to say nothing, and now you
Didn't.
in trouble because you
Now,
didn't say, you didn't say the wrong thing.
you
So
were
I
talked
think
out
we're
of turn. Nobody was
right.
talking.
And I think we're leaving them of that pressure of not like if you don't know what to say. Don't I love when Dave Chappelle opened up his comedy, the most recent one he did. I'm not even a
Mhm.
big Dave Chappelle fan, but he opened it up and said like I didn't say nothing for a minute because I didn't know what to say. And he was
Mm.
like, now that I got some language, y'all gonna get these jokes. And I thought as trivial as that may have sound, I thought that was so important and so responsible for him as an influencer, as a creative in his own right. To like, I'm not just going to give you something because I'm Dave Chappelle and people
Yeah.
are looking for me to say something because I'm still human too. And I think we have to respect that from each creative and not pressure them to always perform in moments when we need healing and allow, to your point, people who are really called to that space and have a voice for this season to really
Mhm.
speak and sing and minister or whatever in these moments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good.
Yeah. So how has music healed you? Or is there one particular song that you could think back on that was like, that's the one that got me through?
There is not one particular song that I could pinpoint for a moment in time, because it just, I always find a song for a season that I'm in, right?
Yeah.
I think what I can say to that point is there is a song that God gave that I wrote that still to this day not only ministers to me when I hit those pockets of my life, but to this day people say this song helped me through a very hard season. And it's a song called Contentment that was on my live project. And contentment is just really about trusting God when you don't know exactly what he's doing, but you know that he has a plan for you. And you
Yeah.
may not like the season that you're in, but it doesn't mean the season you're in is final. And that song, I think, was the song that really was the catalyst of me understanding the power of trusting God
Mm.
and the power of no, being able to rest when things around me would want to cause me to be restless. So that would be the song that has done it for me, and continues to do it for me and others.
For me, I think one of those songs that's consistent, I got to pull Kirk back into the conversation, is
Hmm.
on the Fight of My Life album, How We Used to Be. Like anytime
Mm,
I feel like, God, I ain't here today. That one right there, it's like, it's
yeah.
so Davidic is the word I want
Hmm.
to say. It reminds me of like a Psalms. And it just, when I tell you that thing ministers to me in whatever season
Yeah.
I am in. And it's just like that would be the one for me specifically that it doesn't matter what season, it doesn't matter what I'm going through. That's the one that's gonna always hit them heartstrings. So the current state of music is an interesting one
Yeah, it is.
in gospel and rap and everything. What are your thoughts on it?
I think that, I am not at this point in my life, I'm not a
Uh-huh.
huge rap fan. There are guys that I like and I enjoy. I like, J. Cole, I like Drake. I like guys that are lyrically clever and still have something to say. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a mumble rap fan, so that's not my thing. I'm more of I love lyricists, and so I think the industry at large is in a very interesting place because if we talk strictly gospel music, I think over the course of the past 10 or so years, we've been driven to what sounds like CCM or what would fit in a CCM space or what,
Mm-hmm.
you know, making sure that our songs can cross over into the CCM genre or the CCM style church when the reality of it is they're not singing our songs. And so it's like, why are we making music for them and not making music for us? And yes, I love CCM style worship, but I've always contended with that the pressure of, well, we need, we want like worship style songs for radio. It's like, but that's not who I am. And so
Mm-hmm.
I either now have to be unauthentically me to fit a space just for acceptance, or I can go against the grain and be a Jonathan McReynolds, or I can go against the grain and be a PJ Morton. I can go against the grain and say, this is who I am, this is my voice, and there's an audience for it. And it may not be mainstream, it may be, low stream, but I think that there's a lot of pressure to fit a box that is created based on what they feel like people love. And I think that it's a sad thing because there are a lot of artists that don't get a fair chance. They don't get a fair play at radio because of it. Their music may not fit the box, but their message may be amazing. So it's in a very, very interesting place.
So what is one concept or perspective you would take from the past to kind of mitigate this interesting place that the music industry is in?
You know what? The thing I love about where we are, even as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to technologies and things of that nature, now have social media that plays a huge part in how people are able to engage. I
Right.
think now we've learned that with radio is becoming more and more obsolete, and it's all about engaging people, using your influence, using what you've got, being creative to impact the people. Like, okay, then y'all don't want to play my songs on radio. So what I'll do now is create a platform where I can reach people through Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of these different means. And so I think really capitalizing on the freedom of social media to engage audiences that aren't listening to the radio. in the car. Most people
Hmm.
are listening to their, Apple Music or iTunes or Google Play. Everybody's not even on Sirius XM. So really getting people where they are and maximizing that. I think that that would really help, especially artists that are looking to how to engage and a new audience, or how to engage in a different way and give them a different level of impact. Reach people where they are. If you know people are on Instagram, sponsor a post of one of your songs playing for 30 seconds or a minute.
Yeah.
Draw them in and go from there.
So you mentioned something I gotta jump back to it about
Okay.
rappers who have really good lyrical content. So I gotta
Mhm.
ask the age old question: Biggie or Pac?
Oh man. That is so hard because I think that Pac was more conscious. He was more culture conscious. So if we had to compare who is more culture conscious, then I would go with Pac. But I'm just gonna go with dope lyricists, cadence, all of that. It's gonna be Biggie for me all day.
It's gotta be Biggie. You
It's
know.
gonna be Biggie. Like Biggie, just he had a swag about himself. Like no matter what kind of beat he got, you never knew what approach he was gonna take. And so that for me is like with Pac, you knew it was gonna be hey, 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 hey. So with Biggie, it was like you never knew he was gonna lay into that song. And so if it was about style, if it came down to style, I would definitely say Biggie would be number one. And if it came down to culture consciousness, then it would be Tupac for me.
Absolutely. And that's the argument that I've been having with people since forever. I think culturally, even if they were alive today, I think Pac would probably be the bigger cultural icon because he
Oh,
was
he
already
would be
into.
at the forefront of Black Lives Matter. Period.
Absolutely, because he was already acting. He was, he
Mhm.
was doing stuff that a lot of he really set the tone for what a lot of rappers are doing now. Crossing
Absolutely.
into acting in Hollywood and music and all these other types of things. So I definitely think he would have mastered that. But I do think Biggie would have been the one just owning the rap game, just
Mm.
by pure lyrics, pure style, pure music. Like he had it, and not to say that Pac didn't have it either, but I do think sometimes, as much as it is a common comparison, it's an
Yes.
unfair one.
It's definitely an unfair one because they were two completely like Pac is on one end of the spectrum, Biggie is on the other end. So it's kind of hard to compare the two.
Hmm.
There
I
really
feel
is
the
no
same
comparison.
way about the Monica Brandy comparison too. Like
Oh my God.
you
Okay.
have, so you have. I mean, you have, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want you to go. Go ahead. Monica and Brandy. Like for me, Monica is that the church girl. She. You know what I'm saying? She sings down, and Brandy is just this this vocal anomaly. And I think they're
Wow.
they're so different. But
Yeah.
they grew up in the same era. They had this, whatever kind of beef they had, and it's just and it fueled this comparison. But I think it does a disservice to both of them to be like,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go Monica over Brandy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they don't compare. I think Monica, in essence, is more relatable. She has a very cutesy girl next door swag
Yes.
about her, right? She's very relatable. And Brandy, I believe, appeals to more of like the creative, the musician, the singer, the artist, the web designer, the people that work in creative arts and they get musicality and they love all of that. I
Yeah.
think she appeals more to that person, more of the creative, but a regular, average person would probably flock more to Monica than they would Brandy.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. So tell me, who has been that artist or artists who have been most influential on your sound and your career?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I would honestly, I would have to take it back to my mom is my, which I think she had the first imprint. I sound a lot like my mother, like my tone, uh, my timbre is a lot like her. So, I am an extension of her. And as far as musical influence, the Clock Sisters, of course, like
Come on, the Clark sisters.
I mean, Clock Sisters all day. Aretha Franklin, Shaka Khan, Layla Hathaway, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder. love PJ Morton. I just love his artistry and how he's very true to who he is. I'm very inspired by that. And the list can go on and on and on. But those are just a few artists that have inspired me, and their sound has impacted my sound in some shape, form, or fashion.
Okay. So if you could work with any artist, dead or alive, just one, who would it be and
Don't
why?
do me like that.
I
That's
got
not fair.
to. And this ain't even the last hard question, but
That's not fair. If I could work with any artist, dead or alive.
hmm
Oh my goodness, that is so good. If I could work with any artist, dead or alive, it would probably be, I would want to say it may be Aretha Franklin. Like, I would have loved
Okay.
to have worked with her or worked for her, or, in some capacity or another. It definitely would be maybe Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah. Because her
Okay. I'm not.
soul, like my mom, I have to keep referencing my mom because, like I
hmm
said, she was my first. My mom had, she did soul music in the 70s. So if you look up Tommy Young on YouTube, all of her 70s stuff, she sounded just like Aretha Franklin. So that was my first, before I knew who Aretha Franklin was, my mom's voice was the first voice that made me say, oh my God, I want to do that. And so then learning who Aretha Franklin was, like, oh my gosh, she sounded like my mama. Like, so just that influence and just that imprint that I believe that Aretha had on my mom, that my mom has had on me. So I think that would just be it. That would be amazing.
All right. So I got two more hot seat questions before we wrap it up.
Oh
And
boy, my seat around. Okay,
so
okay.
so this first one is A and B. So you're a Clark Sisters fan. I am a Clark Sisters fan. Okay. When the
Okay.
movie was on, I was giving commentary to everybody who was here. I was like, listen, so this happened because of that. And that's just like, because you grew up coaching, you it's like you know them, and you listen, you grew up on their music. So favorite Clark Sister song and favorite Clark Sister.
Okay. Oh, this is terrible. These are great and terrible questions. Um, I would say my favorite Clark Sisters song is Jesus is a Love Song. I think that is one of my favorite Clark Sisters songs. And then my favorite Clark sister is Dorinda Clark Cole.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think her and Karen kind of run neck and neck for me, but I would say Dorinda, I've always loved her voice and her style and her raspiness, and how she just digs into a song. Like Karen she's the vocal acrobat. She can do
hmm
absolutely. She's fearless, right? But I just love how Dorinda had that soul about her. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. With Dorinda being my favorite Clark sister as well, I am partial to a good raspy voice. It's just something about that thing that just
Yes, sir.
sparks something in me. And my favorite Clark sister song would have to be "Looking to Get There."
Ooh, that's
I
a
don't know.
good
It's
one.
just that funky, that thing just that's a good one. Okay, you ready for the last one?
Let's go.
Okay,
Let's do it.
so I'm sure you've seen like the games and the memes about One Gotta Go. And how I want to play this one is that we're going to start with the top three that's going to stay on the board that you're going to keep, and we're going to explain why we're going to eliminate the last one. So your four are,
Okay.
and when we say one gotta go, this means like the artist and everything that they've ever done. So soundtracks, movie appearances, everything gotta go. All right.
I hate this. I just want you to know I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay,
So
let's go.
Anita Baker, Stevie Wonder,
Mm-hmm.
Aretha Franklin,
Mm.
Luther Vandross.
Anita, she gotta go.
that was go quick.
Just go. Hands down. First of all, Stevie, catalog. Luther, catalog. Aretha Franklin, catalog. Like, I'm talking about decades of catalogs, right?
Yeah.
So Anita, though, her greatest impact was like in the 80s and early 90s when she was hot. But she don't have like decades of catalogs like the three of them do, you know.
No, that's you know what? I hadn't really thought about it like that. I know she's always mentioning like the goats and the greatest conversations, but thinking of
Mhm.
it that way, like if we lost all of her hits, I don't think it would be as much of a loss as it would be to some of these other folk.
Oh, absolutely. I don't, she has some she absolutely has some
Absolutely.
classics, right?
Caught up in the
But
rapture is my
caught
joint.
up in rapture, huh? I mean, the Essentials Anita Baker album on iTunes is a must have. But if we lost that, I think we would be okay. We're still in good hands with the trio. We're still in good hands.
Got it. Got it. So, is there anything that you want to say to aspiring artists, music lovers, just any advice, any words of encouragement, just anything you want to give us?
What I would say is don't be afraid to create and don't be afraid to release. Don't wait on a record deal, don't wait on some magical contract or some investor. There are ways that you can get it done and release it and be okay with it being a slow momentum building it up. But do it for yourself. Even if you're not doing it for anybody else, release it, release the song, release the album, do the EP, go after it, write the song, connect with other producers or writers or artists or vocalists, but do something. Don't let that creativity just sit and collect dust. There is somebody that is going to be impacted by what God has put inside of you. So release it, do it, and be okay with whatever happens, like whatever it is, let it be, but release it. Go for it. Go for it.
And what about the average just Joe Blow music lover? How can we have a greater appreciation and get lost in the music, in the sound?
Keep supporting it. Your every stream, every download, supporting the artist, going if they have product or content, supporting, and letting your presence be known through what they're doing is how artists are able to keep doing what they're doing. Like you have verses where they've been doing these lives with the battles and stuff like that, and 500,000 people are viewing. Those things and those numbers make a difference for that artist. People are going back and buying music that they didn't know. Oh, I didn't know that artist did that song. And so these things make a difference. So as an average person that just says, hey, I'm not a creative, I can't sing or play, I just love music, buy the music. And don't just stream it, buy it. Support
Buy
it,
it.
download it, and support your favorite artist or that new up and coming artist, because it works wonders. It gives them a little more of a push when you engage in their artistry.
Is there a verses that you haven't seen that you want to see?
I did not see the John Legend and Alicia Keys one. I did not see that one that happened this past weekend, and just seeing the dueling pianos, like the picture of the two pianos in the room, I was like, that shot alone is dope. So I would love. I've seen most of them. That's the one I haven't seen that I would like to see.
Okay. Is there like one that hasn't happened yet that you want to see?
Ooh, oh, that's a great one. I think that if they did a Brandy versus Monica versus would be, I think that I think that may shut some of the chatter down. I don't know, it may respark it, but I think that would be a dope one to see.
And it'll shut the internet down. Everybody is going to tune in.
Absolutely would. It would shut the internet. I think I would love to see CeCe Winans and Yolanda Adams do a versus.
Oh, that's a good one. I've
Yeah.
been trying to think like other gospel artists. I know I watched the Kirk and Fred one. Like who else would be like real comparable? I would love to see the Clark sisters versus the Winans.
Ooh, that's good. That's a good one.
Mhm,
That's a good one.
yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right. So, Candy, I am so appreciative for you being here, joining us in the virtual living room. It has been a super, super dope conversation. Tell the people anything you got coming up next and how they can follow you.
Absolutely. Well, you can first follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. On Instagram, I am the Candy West. On Instagram, on Twitter, I'm at Candy West. Facebook, Candy West, and my website will be released in July. I actually have a single that'll also be released really soon. I'm really excited about that. I have a book coming out in the fall. Excited about that. So y'all just stay tuned. Make sure you follow me because you'll get all the updates on the up and coming things for me. So
Yes, and this plug, she's featured on this song with some of my Memphis folk, Vincent Tharmacanosis, and
hey, glory up.
she takes the glory up. You hear me? Especially in
Thank you,
a season where, listen, this for all my church babies. We ain't been in a sanctuary. And when I tell you
man.
that song puts me in a virtual sanctuary and I go, when she start calling that thing out from the north, south, east, and west, I about lost it. I said, woman of God, what are you doing to me? But no, thank you again. We're gonna move on to our next segment where we talk about self-care. Which is gonna be I Am My Brother and My Sister's Keeper. Let's do it, y'all.
Woosah. Woosah. Woosah.
So what's going on, y'all? We are back for another segment of I Am My Brother and Sister's Keeper. And Candy, tell us, what are you doing this weekend for self-care? What's Black woman self-care for you looking like?
Black woman self-care for me this weekend will probably be taking some downtime to take a walk, exercise, breathe in some fresh air. Prayerfully, it's not raining here in Huntsville, and scheduling my next therapy session because it's so important for me. Jesus and therapy is a blessing to your life. So, making sure that I get that mind care and that heart care too.
See, the listeners know how I feel about therapy because, listen, if it was not for Jesus and my therapist, I don't know where I would be.
Let me tell you, we thank God for Jesus, okay? But we thank God for creating the therapist as well to partner with Jesus in our walk.
Listen, and we can say that 500 million times. Amen.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me this weekend, I don't know. I think I'm just going to get lost maybe in the art of planning some things out. I've admitted it before, I'm hyper productive.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I just start working. Let me do this, let me do that, let me do this. So I'm going to try out what it looks like to organize at least a day. Okay. And try to, rest in the contentment of, Josh, it don't all have to be done in one day. You're going to do these 1, 2, or 3 things, and you're going to be okay with that.
Pace
so hopefully
yourself.
my anxiety doesn't go through the roof. And I give myself grace to do it, but I'm going to definitely try it because when it's happened haphazardly, I found out that what I produce is a lot better because I'm rested. I'm more focused on what I'm doing. So that's exactly what I'm going to try to do.
Good.
This weekend.
I'm proud of you. Please do that.
Yes, I appreciate it. So, Candy, thank you again for joining us on the podcast, y'all. This is a wrap. We're going to go into our final segment of the show, a greater conversation. Let's do it.
Let me talk. Let me talk.
Because that's all I really have for what I'm about to talk about in today's greater conversation. It was just a lot of deep breaths, even as I processed it. So last week, let's just get into it. I'm going to try not to make this long. Last week, we talked about Kanye West and his alleged, or I don't even know at this point, him wanting to run for president, right? We talked about it and how dumb it was and all these different types of things and how it was not, not a real possibility because there are so many different things and hurdles that you have to jump through to be able to actually get on a ballot. So that is still a thing. However, he did, run and have these interviews, or say that he was going to run anyway, have these interviews about what his platform would be. They were very vague and very confusing. And went so far as to choose a running mate, some preacher out of Wyoming. Can't even remember the woman's name right now. And that really doesn't matter. Don't really care. So he did all of that. So it was as wild and crazy and as much of a long shot as it is. It was still a very real thing that this fool was running or is running for president, right? So later, he decides to drop out, right? Because, common sense, hopefully. Okay. And then he doesn't, because he's back in, because he officially files the paperwork to be on the ballots and to be a candidate. And he lists his candidacy as a member of the birthday party, as we described, because if he wins, and he thinks that he will, it's going to be everyone's birthday. I know it doesn't make sense, but nothing makes sense right now anyway. So let's just roll with it. Okay. He does all of this. What is so frustrating is the response from the Black community, particularly those who are, of course, hate and despise the presidency of Donald Trump. Okay. Granted, I don't like his presidency either. I don't like anything the man stands for, all of that kind of stuff. So I get it. Trust me. When I say I get it, I get it. Also, the amount of Black and brown folk and a few white folk who do not trust Joe Biden, former Vice President Biden. He is just not it. Like, and I understand, like, between Trump and Biden, it's like choosing between manure and mud. Like, we don't have a lot of options here. So I get it. But at the same time, none of that makes Kanye West a viable option. So for every person who is seriously considering, like, save your conspiracy theories, save all the other garbage that you can throw at me, nothing about what you would have to say would make it make sense why West would be a candidate that should be taken seriously in any regard. A man who has no idea about policy, a man who has zero political experience, a man who has not even participated in the voting process, is attempting to run the United States of America, a man who's married to a Kardashian. That should be disqualifying enough. If nothing else speaks to poor judgment, the fact that you married Kim Kardashian should speak to all of the poor judgment that a person could ever have. I am not understanding why this is even a thing in the thoughts of people. And what was most disappointing was my spiritual son, Chancellor Bennett, aka Chance the Rapper, BKA Lil Chano from 79. Bro, he got on Twitter and started tweeting these things in support of Chance the Rapper, because we know how Chance feels about Kanye. Right, wrong, and different, right? And, Kanye releases this song entitled, his mom's name and all that different kind of stuff. And I don't know if that sparked something in Chano's brain, but he started talking about, why can't, Kanye be the president and all these kind of things in support of this candidacy. And sir, whoo, mighty God, you just, like, as much as I hate to say it, gosh, you deserve the dragging that you got. It was worth it, because there was no, like, I'm going to say this again, celebrities, if you don't know what to say, let's try not saying anything. And let's take it a step further. When you do feel like you know what to say, but it may not be just the best thing is to say, keep that at home. Like, there are certain conversations that should just remain in your close circle with your spouse, with your significant other, with your friends, with your family, right? Because they are just not prudent for the public. I don't know. Anyway, he decided to do it. As he began to engage other people on Twitter, he began to kind of backpedal a little bit in his support, and starting to say, things like, I understand that everyone who's voting for Biden is not enthusiastic about voting for Biden, because this was one of the things that he was kind of alluding to in his original tweets was about, why are we voting for Biden? Why isn't Kanye's candidacy? Why can't it be real? What makes Biden a better option? Things like that too. So he began to kind of double back a little bit, and he talked about, being on this hill, and he was coming back down the hill, alluding to, in the sense, the kind of Terry Crews thing. Remember the introduction of this episode where Terry Crews last week, when we talked about this hill that he was going to die on, he got into the Twitter conversation and began to, in some ways, kind of back up Chance and say, yeah, this is how people treat you, and you begin to think for yourself, things like that. And Chance politely said, I am running. He said, his tweet said, I'm sprinting down this hill. I now know, like, what I said was dumb, but this is in the third. He went on to say, everybody vote for Trump is not doing it enthusiastically, and I do not accept any endorsement or support that I received from Terry Crews, right? It's sad that it took Terry Crews to jump into the conversation for you to realize that what you said was not right. But I'm so glad that you came to the realization. As much as I love you and I loved your music, I would have hated to hate you for standing on that hill, or be mad at you. I'm not gonna hate you, bro, for standing on that hill. And Terry, we all know Terry Crews is in the sunkest of sunken places right now. So it's so sad that had to happen. Why did I say all of that? I started off the rant talking about us who are realistically thinking about Kanye West as a president. I hope that this is like the pot calling the kettle black, or me preaching to the choir right now, because most of the people who listen to this podcast are probably people who would not take that candidacy seriously. However, if there is one, let me tell you right now, this is not the opportunity for you to be playing games. This is not the opportunity for you to say, nope, blah, 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 I'm just going to vote for Kanye West anyway, because I don't like damn one of them. No, what Donald Trump has proven is that this is what a presidency looks like when somebody with zero political experience and has no idea what they're doing is running the country. You're just going to do it again with melanated skin. Okay? Kanye West will literally be pretty much the same thing that we have right now. Maybe not on the extreme end of racist and a bigot and things like that, but in terms of not knowing what the heck he's doing in that office, oh yeah, absolutely the same. Kanye West has no idea what he would be doing as a president. No idea. And I'm sure that his office and cabinet appointments would be even more ridiculous. Please do not get to these polls in November, okay, and start making foolish decisions. If he appears on your poll, do not vote for that fool. If you have the opportunity to write his name in, do not do that. Do not waste your energy writing that in. Okay? I am not going to tell you who to vote for, because that is not my place. However, I want you to make an educated and well-informed decision, not just for you right now, but for your legacy, for generations to come, for the change that you want to see in this country. Okay? Those are the kind of decisions that I want you to make. And there is one person, specifically who I'm talking about, Kanye West, who is not a part of that agenda. And there's another one in office now who's also not a part of that agenda. So again, let's not take Kanye West seriously, like for real. Like, I'm not even here to drag y'all. Let's just have a conversation. Let's just have a greater conversation. And the greater conversation of it all today is what? Let's solve this puzzle piece. Okay? This is one of the puzzle pieces that we will solve. Ain't no Jenga, ain't no mazes, ain't nothing complicated about this one. Get out and vote. Do not vote for Kanye West. Amen. All right. And that wraps up another episode of A Jigsaw. Oh, man, this has been a fun one and an interesting one. But I hope, as always, that it has been one that you have enjoyed. I absolutely love our time together every single week. And I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who has listened. We've had hundreds and hundreds. We're reaching that thousands mark of listeners who have listened to us over the past. This is episode 8. Wow, we're on episode 8. And we've had so many great listeners and great feedback so far. And I could not do any of this without you. I love doing this. I love having our conversations. And I'm just excited about how we're going to grow. Speaking of that, in way of announcements, the workout class that I do, is back. We are coming back at you this Saturday via Zoom, so you don't have to be in the Atlanta area. I won't even be in the Atlanta area this weekend. I'm going to see my family. Going to quarantine at their house. But yeah, so join us though. We're still going to be working out. So join us via Zoom. We're going to be working out our class, $5.50. You can go to iamjoshrogers.com to register, and that is on that. Sunday school is about to happen. I think I told y'all last week that Sunday school is going to be a portion of the show that is literally going to come out on Sunday mornings, where I interview some really inspirational people, have some really dope conversations about some necessary topics. And we're just going to see how it goes. It's going to be a special edition to the Jigsaw. It's going to be a limited edition of just a few weeks that we're going to run it. And then we're going to move on to our next big thing. So it is really like a season of preparation for us as we go into the next big thing, as we kind of revamp and restructure what we're doing here. I know that we're still early, but I promise you, this is going to be something that you're looking for, that you're going to look forward to. That's going to be super, super dope. And I cannot wait to announce it. I cannot wait to bring it to you. It's going to be amazing. As always, you can follow us on socials at the Jigsaw Podcast on social medias, and I am Josh Rogers, is where you can find me. You can email us. You can email us your questions, your comments, your concerns. You can email us something for the Bless Up Report, and you can even email us your greater conversation, something that you want to rant and rave and talk about too. We'll read it. We'll go through it. We'll make it happen. You can send that to the Jigsaw Podcast at gmail.com. And then we will be able to look at those, read those, and determine if it'll make the show or not. Most of them will. I think y'all gonna come up with some good stuff. So love y'all again. Super appreciative that you joined us. And as always, do what you can, while you can, the best way that you can. Don't you let life stress y'all out. But here's the kicker. Don't you ever get caught with your work undone. All right, y'all. See y'all next week.